This video is sponsored by Card Kingdom. You can visit their store by using my referral link in the description below. Hi everyone, I'm Hone, and today is Wednesday, and that means it's time for another MTG Top 10. In some episodes of this series, I take a look at the most expensive cards in a particular category and explain what makes those cards so expensive, and that's what we're doing today with a look at the most expensive angels in Magic. Angels have been around since Magic began, and Wizards of the Coast considers Angel the iconic creature type for white. In other words, they are powerful creatures in the multiverse that are usually found at higher rarities, and you can find them in just about every set. They're also representative flavor-wise of what white is all about. They're also quite popular as a creature type, and this demand, combined with higher rarities, makes them one of the more expensive creature types in Magic. As usual, the prices in this video are the Card Kingdom near mint prices for them. I also don't include special or variant promo versions of cards, just their original printings. In all, there are 228 angels in Magic, and in this video we'll take a look at the 10 most expensive ones. So let's get started. At number 10, it is Archangel of Tithes, which costs about $20. As you'd expect from the name, the Archangel makes your opponent pay taxes. If she's untapped, your opponent has to pay 1 for each of their attacking creatures, and if she's attacking, your opponent has to pay 1 mana for each of their blocking creatures. This makes her great at playing both offense and defense. While in Standard, she saw modest play in white weenie decks, and she also has a single top 8 from a Pioneer white weenie deck. That said, the Archangel isn't really played in any 60-card constructed formats right now, but she does see significant play in EDH, appearing in over 12,000 decks on EDHREC, and she's a pretty great creature to have around in just about any white deck, especially decks interested in angels or making the opponent pay extra costs for things. At number 9, it is Gabriel Angelfire, which costs about $25. He's from Legends. This was the set that introduced both legendary creatures and multicolored cards, and Gabriel is both. He's a 7-mana 4/4 that can give itself a keyword every upkeep, chosen from a menu of Flying, First Strike, Trample, or, the most impressive option of all, Rampage 3. By today's standards, Gabriel is woefully overcosted, and really, this was true when it was printed in 1994, though it wasn't quite as overcosted then. It has never seen play in 60-card constructed formats, and isn't particularly popular in EDH either, and he isn't even on the reserved list or anything like that, because he received a reprint in Chronicles before the list was created. That said, so far, he hasn't been reprinted since then, with the only versions of him out there this black-bordered Legends version and the white-bordered Chronicles reprint. People generally prefer the black-bordered cards, so this version of Gabriel is still the one that all collectors want, and they are fairly scarce. He could be reprinted at any time because he's not on the reserved list, but I'm not really sure why they would go out of their way to print this card again either. At number 8, it is Linvala, Keeper of Silence, which costs about $26. This 4-mana 3/4 flyer shuts down the activated abilities of all of your opponent's creatures. This means she gives you a body that can be a pretty legitimate win condition while also hating on a wide variety of decks. Over the years, she's seen play in Standard, Modern, and Legacy. Most notably, she was used in modern birthing pod decks, which would search her up when the opponent had a problematic activated ability on the table, and she still sees occasional play in modern today. She's also great in EDH, where the fact you tend to have more opponents also means she has even more creatures to shut down. While she isn't a very popular commander, she is pretty close to a staple in white commander decks. A one-sided hate effect like this one is just great. At number 7, it is Gisela the Broken Blade, who costs $30. She's a 4-mana 4/3 with Flying, First Strike, and Lifelink. That already makes her pretty impressive, but she also happens to have the ability to meld with fellow Angel Horror, Bruna the Fading Light, and they become the truly terrifying Brizella Voice of Nightmares, which is a massive keyword soup creature who shuts down all of your opponent's cheap spells. The two cards actually work really well together, because if Gisela is in the graveyard, Bruna can reanimate her, leading to them melding. This led to the two of them actually seeing play together in Standard. However, Gisela doesn't currently see play in any 60-card constructed formats. She does see significant play in EDH though, where she's an auto-include in any Angel deck, usually appearing alongside Gisela to enable that insane meld upside. At number 6, it is Atraxa Grand Unifier, who costs about $35. She's also the newest card on the list, being printed in Phyrexia All Will Be One. For 3 mana, and one of every color but red, she gives you a 7/7 with Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink, and she has an Enter the Battlefield ability that reveals the top 10 cards of your library, at which point you can put a card of each type into your hand. In short, she's a huge, scary threat that also draws you a bunch of cards. She's strong enough to be impressive in any format, especially when you cheat her into play, so it should come as no surprise that she's seeing play in pretty much every format in decks that can do just that. In Standard, she's reanimated with the Cruelty of Gix, in Modern, she's cheated into play with Indomitable Creativity, and in Legacy, she's put into play with Sneak Attack or Show and Tell. Vintage puts her into play with Oath of Druids. She's also incredibly popular as a commander in EDH, especially for a fairly new card, and I think we can expect that to continue. Since the release of March of the Machine, her price has gone up, probably because we now have cards with the battle creature type, making her even better. Basically, no matter what format you play right now, you're likely to play with or against Atraxa, and this is going to keep her price quite high. At number 5, it is Archangel of Thune. This 5 mana 3/4 comes with Flying and Lifelink, and whenever you gain life, she puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. This means all on her own, she can attack and then put a counter on everything because she has Lifelink. In Standard, the Archangel was played both as a win condition in control decks and as a top curve creature in aggro decks. The Archangel was also a key card in Modern for a long time, as she could go off with a combo alongside Spike Feeder. Because you get a +1/+1 counter on the feeder every time you gain life, you can use the feeder's ability to remove a counter and gain 2 life, which puts another counter on the feeder. This allows you to buff your entire board as big as you want, and you get to gain as much life as you want. She largely lost her place in Modern though when Heliod Sun Crowned was printed. It can come down earlier and combo off with some other cards in a very similar manner. She is still highly sought after in Commander though. She sits at an intersection between 3 of the most popular white themes in Commander: +1/+1 counters, life gain, and angels, so in addition to enabling some combos, she brings a ton of synergy to those types of decks. At number 4, it is Resplendent Angel, which costs about $43. This angel starts with nice stats as a 3 mana 3/3 flyer, and it's also another angel that likes it when you gain life. If you gain 5 or more life in your turn, it cranks out a 4/4 angel token during your end step. It also has an activated ability that allows the angel to gain +2/+2 and lifelink. If it's allowed to do combat damage the turn you buff it, it will trigger its own ability during your end step. While in Standard, it found the most success in Angel tribal decks. It's also gained points in Pioneer in decks like Collected Company and White Weenie. Right now, it is seeing a ton of play in Pioneer Angel decks. She's also heavily played in EDH. Like Archangel of Thune, she does a great job in both Angel and Life Gain decks, which puts her in high demand. All that demand in both Pioneer and EDH has resulted in Resplendent Angel costing $43. At number 3, it is Avacyn Angel of Hope, which costs about $55. She might cost 8 mana, but she delivers the kind of value you expect from such a huge investment. Not only is she an impressive 8/8 with Flying and Vigilance, she's also indestructible, and she makes all of your other permanents indestructible too. While she never saw play in Magic's 60-card formats, she is pretty much a staple in EDH, as she makes your board incredibly difficult for your opponents to deal with in a way that not many other cards can. When looking at Commander, she's by far the most heavily played card of all the angels on this list. She's even a fairly popular commander, especially as far as 8 mana legendary creatures go. Basically, her price is what it is because the commander demand for her is through the roof. At number 2, it is Atraxas Praetor's Voice, which costs about $65. This original Atraxa came in one of the Commander 2016 Precon decks, in particular the Breed Lethality deck. She costs 1 of each color of mana apart from red, has the same keyword abilities as that other Atraxa, and lets you proliferate at the end of every turn. This makes her awesome for any deck interested in going wild with counters. Because she's from a Commander set, the only 60-card constructed formats she is legal in are Legacy and Vintage, and Atraxa has never seen play in either of those formats, but importantly, she is the most popular commander in the game, appearing in over 20,000 decks in EDH Rec. Counters are incredibly popular as a theme, and she is incredibly powerful, so it makes a lot of sense. She received a reprint in Multiverse Legends and is also reasonably likely to get a reprint in Commander Masters, so her price might go down in the future, but the demand for her is so high, and it continues to grow, so we'll have to see. And at number 1, by a wide margin, it's the original printing of Sarah Angel from Alpha, which costs a whopping $2,600. It commands this price despite not being on the reserve list, not seeing any play today in 60 card formats, and not being particularly widely played in EDH. So, what's the deal? Well, a big part of it is Sarah Angel's history. For the first few years of Magic, she was considered the best creature in the game. She had impressive above-rate stats for the time, and the fact she had flying and vigilance meant she could pressure the opponent while also not leaving yourself completely defenseless. This makes it one of the game's most iconic and popular cards, especially among people who played in the 90s, and the alpha version is incredibly rare, leading to the card demanding this incredibly high price. It will always be the most expensive angel in Magic. So, those are the most expensive angels in Magic. If you want to buy any of these cards, check out the description, where you can find a direct Card Kingdom link for each card that appeared in the video. If you want to make sure you catch future MTG Top 10s, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to catch up on past MTG Top 10s, including many more lists that look at the most expensive cards in the game, you should see a playlist on your screen shortly. Thanks for watching.
You